Okay, welcome back to yet another video. This is another in the projects that I finished while I was away for the last few months from YouTube. This is 100 Kingdoms army for the game Conquest, Last Argument of Kings. Now this project has a love-hate relationship yet again inside me. I absolutely despise the models, especially the early models, the starter set models. But I absolutely love, really love the game. The game itself is extremely fun. Now these figures that I have here is essentially 2 core boxes, the original one, not the new ones, the original one back when Conquest first released, and then this unit here of legionaries, something like that. Crossbow. So you got a crossbow, a block of men-at-arms, and some knights and a commander in the 100 Kingdoms side of the starter. And then I bought 2 starters because the starters were dirt cheap, like $70, $80. It was something ridiculous anyway. Maybe it was $100. I can't remember. But anyway, a 2-player starter set with Spires and 100 Kingdoms was really cheap, and I bought 2 of them. And I bought 2 of them because I seen this game on, I think at the time it was called Beasts of War still, where the Conquest crew went into, I guess, when Beasts of War was in England, I think, in Wayland Games. I can't remember exactly where they were, but they were there, and they went in and they ran demos of this game. And I fell in love with the game. The idea of it, the activation system I fell in love with, the models looked great because they were pro-painted. So I bought 2 starter sets. And I ordered them in. And then I set about assembling them. And right away, when I opened the box, I started clipping the plastic. I thought to myself, these don't look that good. The plastic is weird. It's like brittle, if that makes sense to you. It's not soft. I'm not saying the hard plastic should be soft. What I'm saying is that when you clip something, it shouldn't, if you misclip it, it shouldn't shoot across a room like a rocket and break a window. You know what I mean? And this is what these were. To me, this is what they felt like, at least anyway. And then when I assembled the models, which was actually kind of a chore, because I don't think at the time the instruction manuals were in the box. I think you had to go online to get them. And when they were assembled, they looked goofy. Like, really, I did not enjoy the look of them at all. And I'll show you when we get down closer. Now, before you start screaming into the comment section, the models now from Conquest are amazing. And I will show you in a couple of more videos. I do have one of the newer armies finished as well, and you will see the difference in the models. But original models compared to now, and compared to Games Workshop and Perry and all the other plastic manufacturers of miniatures at the time of release of the original starter set, these are passable. I also, for this army, got 2 boxes of household guards, and they're behind me, unpainted. 6 of them are assembled in the box because I actually gave up assembling them. I was so frustrated. I did not enjoy the assembly, and I did not particularly enjoy the painting because the models were ugly and it didn't inspire me, and you're just not in it when I'm painting them. But anyway, I muddled through. Luckily, they're mostly all just silver base coat with some white and red. So that's what I did. So these are not, I say again, not the best painted figures I've ever done. I actually, if I look at the models on an individual level, I'm kind of disgusted at myself at the effort I put into these. But again, I did not enjoy the process of assembly and building and painting. It kind of ground me down. So these took months to assemble before I even started painting. And then when they painted, I painted them as fast as I possibly could. With some, I took my time on the Steel Legion. I think that's what they're called, Steel Legion. I took my time on the Officer. So I'm happy with him, and I'm happy with the Steel Legion. But I did not like the look of assembly or painting of the Knights, the Men-at-Arms. The Crossbowmen are okay, but I did not like the Men-at-Arms or the Knights. And we'll get closer down and we'll look at them. I do have This army, I do have the Spires army painted that I painted a little while ago that I'll show you that during this period, this down period. And I like the Spires quite a bit, actually, compared to the Humans faction. And then I got the Greek faction, the city-states, which I also painted. So I painted 3 Conquest armies in the last few months, and I will show you starting with the worst one, the 100 Kingdoms. Now, before I zoom in, and people get really upset, I'm new to Conquest. There's tons of lore. I mean, it looks like a textbook. There's tons of lore, but I don't do well typically reading lore online. I like to have it told to me via YouTube or an audiobook, and that's why I like the Horus Heresy and Warhammer, because there's resources online that I can, while I'm painting the army, I can get inspired as stuff is happening. That does not really exist. There are a couple of channels now that do a bit of Conquest lore, but there's not many. It's nothing near Warhammer. So motivating myself to paint these in any standard that you would be happy with, or even I would be happy with, wasn't really a possibility at the time, because I was painting these frustrated after the assembly experience with listening to Horus Heresy audiobooks. So I'll pause here, we'll get down close, and we'll look at the actual minis. Okay, so we'll start off with the Mercenary Crossbowmen. Again, I sprayed them all white, and I contrast painted them, apart from the metallic bits, obviously. Now, this figure is actually passable as a figure. Again, they're not 28 mil or even 32 mil. They feel like to me like they're either 36, 38, or even 40 mil. They're big figures. But the crossbowmen are actually the least objectionable in my eyes out of the starter set. They're not too bad. Sometimes you'll get ones like, where is it? I'll take this guy out here. Where is he? And he has like a sort of a mask over his face, so I didn't mind that quite so much. But again, these ones here are the faces are okay on these ones, but once we get to the men-at-arms, you'll see what I mean. So there's some crossbowmen. I painted them in 2 styles, by the way. I painted them one that looked more official with red and white, and then one more mercenary-ish looking. So there's one group on this side that's full-on mercenary, and then there's one group on the right side that's mercenary but more official, more like state-sponsored. So here we get to a man-at-arms, and it's okay. But this is a kind of a okay, to me at least, not knocking the effort of Conquest, the crew. I mean, it costs a lot of money, and I'm not even near this skilled myself, but knocking the camera there. But this looks like a plastic figure from the late 90s, not 2020 or 2018, whatever this was, I'm not sure. But that's one of the Conquest figures, and the face is, there's not really a lot of room, and the details are kind of flat. A lot of the details are roundy. There's very few sharp edges. Like even down here, you'll see like the edges are all sort of round. So it was hard to do any kind of like dry brushing that would make it look very good. I'll try another one. I'll show you another one here. Here's another guy that I painted. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what's happening there. It looks like he's receiving like a power-up. Like a video game power-up, like lightning is striking him, and he's yelling He-Man or I have the power or whatever it is. I will do one more of the men-at-arms because I don't like them at all. We'll do this guy here. Here's another one. Again, I didn't bother doing any detail on the face. I mean, it might look a little better if I put some effort into the face, but I did not like these figures. And to be fair, I didn't even know the torso was separate from the legs. And a lot of the times, I didn't even know which way the torso was supposed to be facing. So sometimes when I look at it, I'm like, is that the front? Is that the front? It was hard. I decided that the little belt was the front, so I left it at that. But it was very frustrating. There is a couple of figures that I have that are back to front. So that's the men-at-arms. We'll do... Oh, I broke that guy just now. We'll do the Steel Legion. And because I broke that guy, I'm a little slower here. Here's the officer of the Steel Legion. Like, I put a little bit more effort into this guy. You know, the figures are marginally better. They're a step up. If these guys are, in my view, a 3 out of 10 for detail, these guys are around a 5.5, 6 out of 10. So I'm actually quite happy with these guys. I put a little bit more effort in. So here's the officer of the Steel Legion. I'll show you a standard bearer just so that you can take a look at the standard. But the standards are amazing. I love it. It needs a good like freehand thing in the center there, but I'm just not that skilled. But the standards are just beautiful. This is a plastic standard too, so that'll show you. They're really nice. Then we'll move on to just a regular bog standard soldier. Here he is. Humongous sword. The poses aren't that great, but I mean, if you're doing a rank and flank game, you can't exactly have these big swords like willy-nilly all over the place. So they're all kind of basically the same, standing upright. But that is a Steel Legionary. Next we'll visit the Knights. Here's these humongous, I gotta zoom out here a little bit, this is huge. These figures are massive. Here's the Knight. Again, I painted it as fast as humanly possible, so that's why it looks pretty basic. And you can see I could stab someone with that. Like, you know, when the neighbor cuts my side of the lawn, or the basketball rolls out of my front lawn, I just run outside and start like, hey, get off. That's a joke. I'm not much of an asshole. Although it is weird when the basketball rolls over to my window and he's like picks up his basketball and he's looking in at me. That's kind of weird. But then I don't want to be a recluse and close my blinds every time. But anyway, enough of that. That's one Knight. I'll show you another one just so we have. They have different helmets, which I really like, and they come with these little movement trays, so you can see these helmets. Did I choose the same helmet? I did. Well, anyway, you know, there's something to be said about the style. They didn't do the same Conquest. The people at Parabellum, they didn't go for the same old. They tried something very different. So a different look for this kind of thing. So I mean, they're okay. The best thing about this game is that they're all in big blocks, and it doesn't matter how poorly I painted an individual figure. Back 3 feet, they look decent. We'll do the commander next. I think this guy is supposed to be the commander. So I painted him just slightly different. But again, I did not like the model quite so much. So I didn't put my heart and soul into painting these guys. But they're done. Now, again, like I said earlier, the game is amazing and my wife actually loves this game. She really enjoys the process of activations and the cards and stuff. So the game more than makes up for the early figures. And then lastly, we'll show you the officer. This is a resin figure, much better proportioned, looks real. I mean, don't mind the cloak there. That was a very bad contrast job there. I'll fix that later on. He's got a boar helmet, which is really cool. He's got a scowl on his face, and he is really nice. And I just pause, I'll zoom back out, and we'll close this off. So here we are, back out into a bigger view. These are my 100 Kingdoms Conquest army. Very basically painted, as you've seen. The game is great. The models are getting much better. The early models kind of suck, but I don't really need to collect because I'm not really super into this game like I would be if it was Warhammer Fantasy. But the game itself is excellent, so that keeps me going. But I don't feel the need to collect anymore for this faction. I do have another block of 24 Household Guard to assemble and paint, and then that'll be that. Unless they come out with some figure that I just gotta have, it looks amazing, they're done. And I'll be back again with another video showing you the spires. Okay, thanks for watching, and bye for now.